A little bit about ourselves. We're lucky enough to have met, quite young. So we've been together for quite some time, and have 2 young children, 3-year-old and a 1-year-old at the moment. So, and have lucky enough to have some good stable jobs, which is like in the electrical industry and in construction myself, in cost control.
We started with Wealthology through Matt from
Empty Nesters,
is it Empty Nesters?
Who is our financial advisor. So we started up with him a self-managed super fund. So as one of the strategies that we put together was to actually do wealth creation through property. We were lucky enough that he had Wealthology within his network, and has put us onto Wealthology to be able to develop that property.
I've always been in a property, so we've always wanted to have more property. So just creating the wealth inside the super fund was having property as well. So he's put us onto Wealthology to try and get more and more property in the super fund. So.
And our challenges, I guess, there were that we did know, and everyone was very upfront that purchasing property through self-managed super funds, there are a lot of compliance issues that go with that as well. So doing it through a professional who has done it previously was something that we were looking for as well.
Wealthology they're very efficient in finding the property. Between our initial meeting with Leone and actually having her come back to us with properties was only a couple of weeks once we made the decision to go ahead. And they were very good properties too. They were exactly what we were looking for. She listened to us and worked out exactly what our requirements were, and yeah, she had a number of properties within a couple of weeks. So it was a very quick process and very professional. It's really good.
I think for me, working with Wealthology has been great. Working with Leone personally, we can develop a rapport. It wasn't just a person giving us a cookie cutter answer. Leone was great to work with personally as well. So she was upfront and professional, and also very open and honest about the situation. She asked us questions around what made us sit on the fence really around purchasing the property, so that she could alleviate any of those fears or risks that we had there, which I think was one of the greatest things, that we could just build that trust between us, that she was really listening to what we wanted.
She made us feel like she really wanted to help us and put us in the best position for us, as opposed to the best position for her company, which is really, really positive.
The quality of work is at a very high standard for us, and I think what we very much appreciate as well is not just her specific industry, but the network that she's created around as well. So being able to draw on one person and have her go, well, here's my professional that I work with for this circumstance. So being able to go to Reese, her mortgage brokers and things like that, and having Leone and Wealthology be able to talk between the two professions is what was great for us. We didn't have to step in, we didn't have to micromanage a process or anything like that. So it's that network as well that's been been great for us. We did have some challenges. Leone was very upfront that purchasing through a self-managed super fund can take a bit more time and a bit more effort due to the compliance regulations around purchasing through the self-managed super fund. So we knew that upfront. What we didn't, I suppose, expect throughout the process was COVID-19 to come in and kind of derail a few things. But what was great around that was that we had open communication with Leone from Wealthology, and also Matt from Empty Nesters, who is our financial advisor, to be able to talk and communicate and resolve any issues that we had throughout that process as well. So we didn't, again, have to come in and micromanage. They kept us in the loop with things when we thought it was starting to get nervous for us. Both Leone and Matt were able to give their professional opinions around what the market might be doing, or with COVID-19, or even just where we were in the process.
and reassured us very well that it was all happening. And if we did have any questions, answers weren't far away. And if they didn't know the answer, they'd write back saying, we don't know that, we'll have to chase it up. So yeah, communication was really good.
And it's the medium of communication for us, which I think was really great as well. So it was the mix between, phone calls. I had just started a new job as well, so I wasn't being able to get on the phone all the time, but we were able to communicate through different mediums, which is handy for us. We're very used to text messages. Hey, I've just left you a message. Can you, just make sure you got it? Those sorts of things, which was, different medium of communication is great. For us, it's very much around, the mantra of wealth creation. So we're at the start of our journey to try and set ourselves up for retirement and being able to retire early off a portfolio that, we're very proud of, and being able to get to that goal is our biggest achievement so far, is taking that first step. And we know that Wealthology will be there when we're ready to take that next step as well.
The benefits we see of using professional is that's their job, that's their profession. They know, they've done the training, they know the industry, where we don't know the industry that well. So using professional is it's all about their knowledge base, and the knowledge base at Wealthology and the team that they use is very high, and they've got all the questions answered already before you ask them.
I would say that the open and honest communication that we get from Wealthology and the team has been one of the most trusting situations that we can put ourselves into when it comes to such big decisions. So being able to trust the team, that they are really looking out for you, and genuinely giving you advice that they follow themselves, as well as giving out to others, is something that I would definitely recommend to my family and friends.
Well, we've had the ability to purchase our first property through self-managed super, which by all understanding is not an easy process, and which it hasn't been, but the team has guided us through it very well, and hopefully we'll be looking at buying more properties through the self-managed super fund and outside the super fund with Wealthology.
I think for us as well, one of the biggest benefits is taking that first step. So we did sit on the fence and we weren't sure, and Leonie, she never pushed us into anything, but did help us to make the decision to do it. And at this early stage in our wealth creation, that's one of our biggest benefits, is that we have taken that first step, and now I think each step going forward will be an easier decision for us. The team that Wealthology has created, so being able to have Matt and having that network between the two, and then also going to Wealthology, we've made the decision to make that purchase, and then from Wealthology going across to Reese for our mortgage broker needs. That team of professionals has been something that has been really handy for us as well. We didn't have to go out and find individual people for us, or try and get two different teams of people trying to communicate or anything like that. That's been one of the highlights, I think, throughout this process.
And even all the way through to the property managers that we've been put onto, to be honest, had the house rented before settlement date. So we already had a tenant lined up for when the settlement date was there, and then they moved straight in. So everything just worked perfectly and flawlessly. It's fantastic.
Surprised us the most, I think, that it wasn't really surprising. Like, it was great that Leonie could sit there and say that, this is what I'm looking at, helping you to achieve, and that there was actually no surprises as such, or bad surprises along the way. What Leonie said she was going to do, she did for us, and the best surprise, I guess, that came out of it was that we now have a team that Matt and Leonie have created for us that we can draw upon for all of our different financial circumstances. Being able to create the rapport that we did with Leonie was great for us. We want to be able to trust people. We are, slightly more conservative in nature, I suppose. So being able to trust that, you had your best interests at heart.
We did come into it, well, I came into it with reservations of how much is this going to cost us, and are we going to have to put down money before any of this gets up and working. But Leonie came out and had a talk to us and put me at ease right from the first meeting we had, so it was good.
Buying off the plans and that sort of circumstance for us, we did have our reservations about. I understand why the advice is to buy new rather than in established properties or established communities. But I guess for me, I was always worried that you'd be buying at the top and you would always cut your purchase price off before you even really start. So some of the suburbs that we were looking at, also you hear your bad stories around things. They're going, oh, they have 100 new properties and then you're trying to get 100 new tenants, and yes, your first year is great, but after that it's not not as sold, I guess. So we did walk into our first meeting probably giving Leonie a little bit of a hard time, asking a lot of questions in that respect, because that is the general advice, to go for a bit of a new property. And yeah, so we did have our reservations there, but talking it through with Leonie as to all the really good reasons why, and then she also did very much take that into account when she was looking at properties. So the communities and the areas that she did give us weren't pushing our boundaries. They were nice within something that we would comfortably be able to answer.
Probably when it all finished, just because of this COVID-19 and everything made it so much harder than it should have been. We're probably a bit gun shy doing it again, but when it's all done and dusted, yeah, we're looking at doing it again.
Yes, we will. We do still believe in the strategy of having a property portfolio. So I think that's something that hasn't deterred us. Doing it on our own, before we met Matt and the teams and Wealthology through Matt, we had sort of dabbled in property before, but I think the biggest thing for us is that with having a very young family, we are definitely time poor. There's probably little to no chance we would be doing it in our current current situation if it wasn't for the professional help that we have had. So not only have we been able to rely on the professionalism of the team, we've also been held accountable ourselves to achieve our goals. So we've had that push, not in a bad way, in a very good way, to be able to take those steps, to continue taking those steps, even though that we are very time poor and have a young family. So
we would have made a lot of the mistakes, the mistakes that everyone else would have made, that Wealthology have seen and understand and could steer us away from. So I think we probably would have got there, but it would have taken a lot longer, and we probably wouldn't have done it as easily.
Yeah, very much less efficiently.
Yes. It probably cost us a lot of money. So make the leap. It makes things a lot easier. Talking to someone that knows the industry and has seen the mistakes previously made and can steer you away from them.
Find that team that you can trust, because it does make the whole journey much more comfortable. We're talking about large sums of money in circumstances and decisions that aren't easy decisions. So find someone that you can trust to give you the best possible advice they can.
Working with Reece was easy. We didn't have to chase him for anything. He just always had the answers there. If anything needed done, he'd contact us. He'd chase us up, because getting information back is not our strong suit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's very professional. He's really good to deal with.
We seamlessly, it really did feel seamlessly between, signing the contract, between getting the finance sorted and getting then the property rented. Even though we had a long journey to get there with COVID, it all still ended up going through quite well and quite seamlessly.
They were right on top of everything that needed to happen. If there's anything wrong with the property, we had a couple of things go wrong when the tenants moved in. They were right on top of it. Everything got sorted. Some things we didn't find out about until they were sorted, which was good. So they're just all over it. They're really, really good property managers. Quite surprised to have her already looking for tenants, and she was calling us, running through a couple of tenants with us before it was settled. Settlement kept getting dragged out further and further, but yeah, they had everything sorted very quickly.
It was the anticipation rather than sitting back and just waiting. So for us, with COVID and everything, our settlement did sort of drag out a little bit. So, we had them there and they were ready, and not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting for a date to pass. It was all very actively managed.